स्वागत करते हैं जी एक बार फिर आप सब ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਇਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਸਾਈਕੋਥੈਰੇਪਿਸਟ ਨੇ। ਅੱਜ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਚਾਈਲਡਹੁੱਡ ਟਰਾਮਾ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਐਡਲਟ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਪਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਏ, ਕਿਹੜੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਟਰਾਮਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਸੁਖਾਵਾਂ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਾ ਟਰਾਮੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਆ ਜਾਏ। ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਇਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਲੀ ਦਾ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ।
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So tell us today about trauma as such. What do you describe as trauma?
So events happen to all children.
Right.
How we respond to those events determines whether we get traumatized or not. So trauma happens when something bad happens to us and we absorb it and we can't tell anybody about it, and it makes us smaller. Right? It's not a growing opportunity, a learning opportunity. We actually get smaller and we get afraid and we have no one to talk to about it.
Right.
That's what a trauma is.
Give us some examples as to how a child can go into this phase of child trauma.
It could be really simple. It could be, a child is 2 years old,
right,
and the child sees the father shouting at the mother, and the whole body, goes stiff, and suddenly there's this terror inside the child, this fear that happens.
Right.
And if nobody then goes to the child and, collects the child and makes sure that the child is okay, they ignore, they forget, or they're not paying attention, and that continues to happen. Over time, that becomes traumatizing to the child.
Okay, so even these small incidents can have
things.
an impact on a child.
Yes, if nobody actually acknowledges that this is hurting the child.
Right.
Yeah.
In the world which we are living in, these days, these things are becoming normal, yelling at each other or misbehaving or, observing what is happening on our television sets or watching in the society.
Yeah.
So this means anything can have an impact on the child, and that can result into, later on troubles for the child.
Yes. And how do we protect our children? Because there's so many, you can't wrap the world in
Of
bubble
course.
wrap like they
Yeah.
say. So the key is in that first year of life,
Right,
that the child is held a lot.
Okay.
The child is nurtured a lot. Every time the child cries, we respond to the child, because what happens is the brain starts to form to say the world is a safe place. I can trust my caregivers, right? We don't separate the child and the mother for very long. We make sure that the mother's around as much as possible to the child and looking at the child. So there's different things like, those baby carriers they have now. You can, in the olden days we used to wrap the babies on our back, right? So we're seeing the science is that that's actually really good for the child, to be really close to the heart, to hear the heartbeat. So in that first year of life, taking a lot of time and attention with that baby in the beginning,
right,
then the child becomes more resilient. Then when there's stressors that happen, they can recover better,
right,
when they're 2 and 3 and 4.
And also, of course, as far as the parents are concerned, it's a separate thing dealing with the child. But then many instances we read and see that where a child has been abused, not just by the parents but by some family member, and especially girls,
Yeah.
So that also just gets an impact, a long-lasting impact on their mind.
Absolutely. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, even emotional abuse has incredibly long-lasting impact on the child, especially if they can't talk to anyone, can't talk to their parent about it.
Right.
If they don't trust their parent enough to tell their parent what happened, then it's severe. It's severe, and it lasts into adulthood. It can turn into all sorts of things like addictions in adulthood, promiscuous behavior. All sorts of things can come out of abuse. And so if your child tells you, I don't have a good feeling, or you tell them, hug this uncle, and they don't want to, you have to trust your child.
Right.
They are feeling something in their body, they're uncomfortable, trust your child.
Right.
Yeah.
So give space also and give time to your child. That's the most important thing. Understand the child.
It is not about the child being the boss.
Right.
Because
of course, that's a separate
kids
issue.
need rules,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Kids need to know that the adults are looking after them.
Right.
We can't just let the kids be in charge.
Right.
But the adults have to act like adults and not act like children, right?
Absolutely. I was reading somewhere that all those people who go into gangs or indulge in violence, in their childhood there had been some incident which had a promiscuous effect on them, and that's why now when they have become old or they have gone into this kind of life. So as you very rightly said, that the child's earlier years are the formative years for the behavior, for how a person is going to become later on in life.
Yes, and with gangs, the big thing is a sense of belonging.
Belongingness.
If children don't feel like they belong in the family, that they're not important, they're not valued, they're not heard, that everybody else is always making the decisions.
Right.
Well, if instead of listening to dad and mom, now they're going to go listen to this gang leader, right? So they haven't learned to think for themselves and have opinions and say no, because we haven't given them that opportunity in the family.
Right. Finally, any other recommendation as far as child trauma is concerned?
Well, I think, you know, parents are doing their best. Parents love their children.
Right.
But there's so much good information out there about how to be a better parent. And one book that I'll recommend, it's called Hold On to Your Children.
Okay.
Why Parents Need to Matter More Than Peers.
Okay.
Okay. And it's about how to hold on to our kids so that they're not looking to gangs and other groups to feel fulfilled in their teenage years or drugs. They're actually quite happy and stable in the family. And it requires adults to start changing a little bit.
Absolutely. Not to think that we know everything. Parenting is an art, you know, and especially from the countries from where we have come.
Right.
We have been always told that, of course, child grows on its own. But times have changed now. We have to understand that it's an art. We are to learn how to be with a child, not just as a parent, but as a friend also,
Right.
so that there's a trust existing between the parent and the child,
Right.
and the child can outpour their feelings to their parents.
Right.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਇਰਾ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਚਾਈਲਡ ਟਰਾਮਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਛੋਟੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵ ਪੈਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਬੱਚੇ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਸਪੌਂਜ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਉਹ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਅਬਜ਼ੌਰਬ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੀ ਅਸਰ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਵਾਈਫ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾਤਰ ਲੜਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਸੁਖਾਵਾਂ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਇੰਪੈਕਟ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਡਡ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਅਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਦਾ ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦੀ ਤਰਫ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ 'ਤੇ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਸਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਪਰਵਰਿਸ਼ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਅਬਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ, ਤਾਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫੀਲਿੰਗਸ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਆਪਣੀ ਸੋਚ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਸਿਰਫ ਫੋਰਸ ਨਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਪੇਸ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਿਆ ਜਾਏ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਨਾ ਬੈਠ ਜਾਏ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਬਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਸੋਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਪੈ ਜਾਏ। ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਮਾਂ ਬਿਤਾਇਆ ਜਾਏ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਫੀਲਿੰਗਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਆਪਣਾ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਜਾਏ।